Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for Wednesday, the 14th of August. All right, now as we just edge into the start of the Asian session, a little bit of well, it's hard to sort of describe, but basically another Trump day. Okay, so we had the US CPI numbers. Actually, it might be easy for me to come over here and just go through the major news. So basically, we had the US CPI numbers, and they came out pretty much as expected. Equity markets still under a little bit of pressure, and then Trump just comes out on his tweet and says he's going to delay the tariffs on Chinese cell phones, laptops, toys, and saying basically he doesn't want to hurt the people. What a complete load of rubbish. What we have seen is this is a massive get your hands full of equities situation. The Dow Jones up 1.4%. S&P up 1.47%, the NASDAQ up 2.2%. So Trump is, we all know Trump is all about just getting the equity markets up. That's all he cares about. He's a business guy. To him, equities up means growth, and that's great. It's great. It's America great again. So that's what we're going to deal with. And what that's done is, you can see the move here in dollar yuan. Okay, the dollar fell 10 cents against the yuan. Okay, Trump would be liking that. That's probably one of the reasons why he's done it, to get the yuan a little bit higher. So that's dropped 10 cents. That's going to become extremely volatile, and this matches the move almost that we saw when it broke through 7. So that's something to keep an eye on. The dollar index itself is pretty much trading sideways. It just picked itself up off the floor at 97.30. It's up to 97.80. But is the market going to go on with it? I don't think so, because they're sort of very wary of what Trump is doing and what that's, as far as like forward guidance on what is happening in policy. He doesn't really have a policy. He just shoots from the hip. So basically that's very disruptive to the whole markets. Now you look at the charts here, the major pairs. Now I've shrunk them up a little bit. As you can see, the Aussie in a nice downtrend now, just trading sideways. Sort of similar for the Kiwi, although to me it's still in a little bit more of a downward sort of move. And dollar yen, well, dollar yen was the big winner with this Trump announcement. Okay, euro pretty much trading sideways. It is at the bottom of that sort of range at the moment, but it's got to go down. But is the US dollar really going up? I don't think so. It's a short-term move based on Trump's tweets, and that, as we know, that can change any day of the week. Sterling, well, it has been falling. It is starting to trade sideways here, but you know what? Brexit is dominating sterling at this point, and if they do leave, or they do Brexit without a deal, it looks like it's going to be heading down towards 110. And dollar CAD, well, it's still trading in the range, but we are seeing these spikes topside and downside on various announcements and releases. Oil back to 56.60, so that sort of supports a downward moving dollar CAD there as well. So all up, when you sort of widen out your charts, you haven't got a hell of a lot to work with. The Aussie just tweaked through the top side there. Just go through your charts and get your trend lines up, and then sort of blow them up. But when it comes back down to what's actually going on in the market, now the MyFX Trading Hub, this is as we're getting used to the activity around Trump and then the consequent moves. Once again, we've got a really diffused dollar at this point. So US dollar uncertainty in my eyes. The other pairs here too, and most importantly, it's where the short-term trading activity is, which is where we don't get any sort of continuity, and you'll see that pretty much reflected on the hourly charts. Okay, on the hourlies, most of the major pairs besides sterling, dollar yen obviously spiking 150 points, whatever it was, 120 points. The rest of the pairs are all pretty much trading sideways in recent ranges, so that doesn't really give us much to work with. Still, Aussie, Kiwi, and sterling are the pairs which do have the daily and weekly trend lines sort of pointing low, and that gives us some sort of hope at this point. But when you come down to it now, we've got to piece together what's coming out and where the potential opportunities are going to sit. Now, it's a big day, okay? The wage price index, this is a bit of a sleeping number for the Aussie. It's very important. There's been no wage growth over the last sort of 5 or so many years. So that's something the RBA looks at closely. We've got a whole range of Chinese numbers coming out. Industrial production probably been the biggest one. Now, that's moved 10 cents overnight, right? That is a crazy move. So will these numbers come into play? You'd think so, but I just can't work out. Like, after you've seen such a huge move, it's very hard to sort of overlay the fundamentals on top because the market's already discombobulating somewhat. So just keep an eye on that. The trend is down, so weak numbers. Well, I was going to say weak numbers. You might see some movement, but I'm just going to probably stay out of it at this point. German prelim GDP for Euro. Now, the Euro is starting to drift, so the Eurozone numbers here could be a pretty good opportunity. Of course, the CPI numbers in the UK, historically one of the bigger numbers, but right now, will it come into play with all this geopolitical stuff? Maybe not. All right, so we do have some good numbers coming out today. It's just a matter of whether the markets are ready to move after yesterday's moves. And as I said, once you lose the traction in the hourly charts, traders sort of start to switch off, okay, because there's no clear direction. So if you do see an opportunity and there's significant variance in any of these numbers, I would say it's probably a very short-term trading opportunity. Don't fall in love with any positions because there's no current trends in play. If you can see some variance and you get into a trade, maybe you take 20 or 30 points out of it, but that's all I can see at this point. You're really waiting for the North American session to see how those equity markets open up, and that's where direction will come from. All right, guys, take it easy. Have a good trade day. Cheerio.